What the Philippines did to the world's dirtiest river shocked everyone. A lot of you guys have linked this over, and honestly, I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the world's dirtiest river. I mean, a lot of these things can be seen around the world and at various different places as well, but I want to see what the Philippines did with this exact river. Let's see this together. Yes, let's go.
For many years, the Pasig River in the Philippines stood as a painful reminder of how much its capital had deteriorated. Its foul smell and floating garbage became symbols of a city drowning in its own neglect. But slowly and surely, this image has changed. Today, the Pasig River looks like this. With its beautiful esplanade, it almost resembles a touristy riverside in Europe. This transformation has surely caught the world's attention, and the river has received an award from a prestigious international body.
Hold on, that's actually kind of scary amazing. This is something that's beautiful too, because think about it in like, obviously face value, it's obviously beautiful, yes, but I mean like deeper in the sense that imagine what else is possible. That's kind of like what I'm thinking about. When I see something accomplished like this, where a lot of people let it stagnate, when you do something that big, what is potentially capable later on just grows. Because you've already taken that first step and done something so incredibly difficult. Man, that is unbelievable.
How did a river once called the most polluted in the world take a 360-degree turn and become a symbol of recovery?
Yeah, dude.
To better answer this question, let us join together in exploring its grueling journey, from being a national embarrassment to becoming a powerful symbol of pride for the entire country.
I seen this river in the Philippines. I was in an Airbnb right near it. That was the river? No way, dude.
Pasig River is the major body of water in Metro Manila that connects Laguna de Bay and world-famous Manila Bay. It stretches for about 27 kilometers with an average width of 91 meters. Long before the city of Manila even existed, about 6,000 years ago, the Pasig River was already carving its path between Laguna de Bay and Manila Bay.
The force of it,
During
right?
the Spanish period, it became the city's main transport route. We may call it Manila's very first highway. Galleons and barges once sailed through its waters, loaded with rice, sugar, coconuts, and timber. These goods powered the capital's early prosperity. Locals used to bathe in this river. Due to convenience, they built their homes along its banks. The soil around the river was fertile, providing materials for construction and food for communities. Life revolved around the river. To say that it was the city's lifeline wouldn't be an overstatement.
Yeah.
Because of its importance to the colony's survival, it earned a title that reflected its grandeur: the Queen of Rivers.
Wow. And that's crazy to think about, the fact that all places wanted to kind of take over that area because of the value that they provided, whether it be with coconut, timbers, and stuff like that. It's always been about that, especially back then. And this is why I love reacting to the Filipino history on my movies channel. I've already seen Goyo, I've seen all of them, and now Quezon, I'm gonna watch Quezon as soon as that's able to stream. I was gonna watch it in theaters, but I was like, no, I gotta preserve my reaction for you guys because I want to see it for the first time with you guys. I kind of promised that to you guys as well. So as soon as that comes out to streaming, I'm gonna watch it, react to it on that channel. But with that being said, it's crazy to assume that all of these like crazy pirate shaped ships just going down that stream. Now it's not that much, right? I still see some people sail down there, but not like that. It's way like more surreal to think about that there was so many for a greater purpose of like, oh, I want the coconut, this, sugar. It's kind of weird. And I love it. This is why I love history, man.
When the Americans came, they also acknowledged that the Pasig River was vital to promoting progress for the country.
Yeah.
It powered Manila's rise as one of Asia's most developed cities. However, as the industrialization that was brought by the colonizers took root, the focus turned to building roads and railways for vehicles.
Yep.
Over time, the Pasig River's role as a main transport route and source of living for nearby communities began to fade away.
The downfall. Oh.
As is often the case with nature being sacrificed in favor of progress, the same fate happened to the once beautiful Pasig River. The slow death of this river didn't happen overnight. It was a product of decades of neglect. As far back as the 1930s, people began to notice the first signs of decline. Fish that once swam freely from Laguna de Bay into the Pasig began to disappear, as if the river was slowly losing its breath. By the 1950s, families no longer bathed in its waters. A decade later, the sound of women washing clothes along its banks had faded. Even the ferry boats that once glided through the river's calm surface began to vanish. Then came the surge of urbanization. Metro Manila grew fast. Too fast for its own good. Migrants from the provinces arrived with dreams of a better life. Instead, they're faced with the reality that life in the city isn't as easy as they imagined it to be. Hence, with no other options, they've built makeshift homes along riverbanks and estuaries. Without proper sanitation, the waterways became their dumping ground.
Seeing them still smiling is something that's very, very, like, beautiful to me. It made me choke up. But I think it's because they look at not the situation itself, but the broader picture. Like, I'm still here. I'm still alive. And I think some of you guys have commented about that in the comments before when I've talked about this. But it's super beautiful because it is incredibly true. You take that into any way you want with anything in your life, and you will live a happy life. And now I'm not saying it's happy to live in that situation, but it's kind of like that one philosophical kind of concept of, like, I forgot his name, but him pushing up the boulder, you think he's happy doing that for eternity? Well, maybe he could be, because if he finds happiness in that some way, somehow, even though he's for eternity just pushing a boulder up a hill, is that possible? 100%. I absolutely 100% agree, because you can find happiness in that. You can have perspective completely shift the way that your life is seen. And I think Filipinos are excellent at doing that. And I see that constantly, them smiling. I've seen people in better situations than the people there in the Philippines who never smile. Never smile. And I guarantee there's people who would die for their position. I always try to say it too. I'm like, yo, people would die for your position. You have to be a little more grateful. But they just pouty face, angry all the time, always upset about something. My coffee stank. My car's this. Some people don't even have cars, man. Have some, like, gratitude, you know? And, like, that's the reality is Filipinos, even in these situations, they're smiling. They don't even got a car. They don't even got a scooter, nothing. They got makeshift houses. They're smiling because they understand that perspective point. And with that being said, I think the fact that, the Philippines progressed, this is now another side conversation. Not even a side conversation. The other one was a side conversation. This is back to the main point of this river, right? So the fact that they were kind of upgrading everything else and kind of left the river to just be wasteland, it happens. But what is more important is how do you bounce back from that, right? And this is the part that's exciting.
It was once the city's lifeline turned into its sewer. Factories soon crowded the banks, releasing untreated chemicals directly into the water. Even hospitals added to the toxic flow. By the 1970s, the river had turned foul. During the dry season, the stench carried through the city air. It was a clear reminder of how far it had fallen. By the early 1990s, the river was officially declared biologically dead. Its waters turned dark and lifeless, thick with pollution. Tests showed coliform levels far beyond safe limits, making it a carrier of disease rather than a source of life. Floating islands of garbage blanketed its surface. No fish survived its murky waters except the invasive janitor fish species. For many observers, the Pasig River seemed lost forever. Some international groups even branded it beyond saving. But the Philippine government knew it couldn't simply abandon it. The river had long been the lifeblood of Manila. The history of the magnificent city is heavily tied to it. As one urban planner has stated, if you can't fix the Pasig River, you can't fix the metropolis.
That's scary. That's scary to hear, by the way. I guarantee if you guys probably heard that living in the Philippines, you might have been very distraught. But when they say you can't, that's how you know there's a possibility that you can. Bro, forget what they say, bro. Just lock in. Feel me? And that's what y'all did. Hey!
The battle to revive the Pasig River was a slow and grueling process. It took decades before real action began to take shape. It all started in the late 1980s under the presidency of Corazon Aquino. After the fall of the dictatorship, the country was eager to rebuild, and Manila was in search of redemption. With help from the Danish International Development Agency, the government launched the Pasig River Rehabilitation Program. This was the first official attempt to bring the dying river back to life.
Dude, look
but
at
in
that.
truth, it was more of a groundwork phase than a cleanup mission. By 1999, a new government body was established, and this one would have more success. The Pasig River Rehabilitation Commission, or PRRC. During this time, the real work began. The government moved families away from high-risk areas and reclaimed river easements for public use. During the late 2000s, the agency teamed up with a media giant arm, the ABS-CBN Foundation, and dubbed the campaign as Kapit Bisig sa Ilog Pasig. This collaboration with private organizations and media groups brought public attention and grassroots participation. Cleanup drives, riverbank clearing, and environmental awareness projects spread across Metro Manila.
I love seeing
this. Though the
this.
river remained heavily polluted, a sense of civic responsibility began to take root.
That's another thing too, is it's so important to instill something in the civilization, in the society, right? Where it's not okay to dump any trash here anymore. And once you start involving the community and the people within this area of cleaning and doing this and taking care of it because of how important it is to Filipinos, you start to instill in other Filipinos that you're right. This is important, and you're right. I have to keep this area clean, and you're right. This is sacred. Then when that's instilled, that continues to instill into generations to come. And then you guys ensure that it never gets dirty again because it's important to do so. And of course, the face value, or I mean the surface level part, of course, is obviously keep checking up on it. If any little bottle gets in there by accident, anything like that, always just keep cleaning it up. But really, instilling is the biggest thing, really.
One public figure who became the face of cleaning up the river, the late Gina Lopez from a prominent media family. She took over as chair of the PRRC. Her focus shifted towards the smaller waterways, the esteros and creeks that feed into the Pasig River. She believed that real change had to begin there, where most of the waste came from. Out of 47 creeks directly connected to the river, 17 were successfully cleaned and restored.
Wow.
Families living along these waterways were relocated to safer areas, and the cleared spaces were turned into small community parks. What used to be foul-smelling, garbage-filled corners of the city slowly transformed into green, welcoming spots. For the river to truly become part of city life again, it needed to serve a real purpose for the people. That's why former President Duterte initiated the revival of the Pasig River ferry system. The system now operates with 13 stations, stretching across key parts of Metro Manila. More than just a convenient way to get around, the ferry system was created to help ease the heavy traffic that constantly clogs Metro Manila's main roads.
Traffic.
Recently, the country had a grander vision for the famous river. More than just cleaning up, the goal now is to transform it into a world-class destination.
Do it.
Similar to the scenic riverfronts of Singapore, Seoul, or even Paris.
Yo, I noticed that too. When I went to Paris recently, I was there, I went on a boat to eat, and I was telling my fiance, I was like, dude, this reminds me of that river. And I didn't know the name at that time. I was like, that river that was in front of our Airbnb in the Philippines, it really reminded me of it. And I feel like it could literally become exactly like that because it had the same kind of like shape, right? Like right down the middle, in between everything. And I 100% agree. It could 1,000,000% become exactly like how it is for Paris. 1 million. I believe in the Philippines more than anything, dude.
In January 2024, the government launched the Pasig Bigyang Buhay Muli initiative, meaning bring Pasig back to life.
Wow.
The plan is to make the riverfront center of urban life again, and not just a forgotten boundary it once became. At the center of this grand vision is the Pasig River Esplanade, now one of Manila's most promising public attractions. With its European-inspired design, classic lamps, balustrades, and wide promenades, it gives a glimpse of what a modern, livable capital could look like. The esplanade stretches along key parts of the river, creating a peaceful, open space for people
Wow,
to reconnect
dude.
with nature in the middle of the city's rush. Small food and souvenir stalls line parts of the walkway, adding life and color to the area. Today, families and friends gather here, walking by the riverside and enjoying the renewed beauty of what was once a forgotten waterway. The story of the amazing transformation of the Pasig River is one for the books. Who would have thought that decades ago this was how this river looked like?
What?
But look at it right now. The river shines with a beauty that speaks for itself.
Wow.
The story of the Pasig River is no way past its finish point.
By the way, just to ask, how is it green? Is that the algae underneath? Because I don't want to obviously be ignorant to the fact that water is obviously it's not all just going to be blue. It depends in certain areas, right? Like I've seen islands in the Philippines full blue water. That's because it's like the ocean, and there's things to it that make it green and or blue, right? I would say that the green might be because of algae underneath and because it's a river. You guys might have better explanation, or maybe he might explain it right here.
However, we already have a glimpse of how more beautiful it will become.
Yeah, please let me know. Like genuinely, I want to know, why is it green? Is it because of the algae underneath? And keep in mind, I've seen green rivers before, but I never asked that question. I've seen green rivers not only in the Philippines, in other areas too, and where I've lived. I see it all the time, but I want to know why that is. Is it because of the algae? You know what I mean? I know algae can make it green or appear green.
In the coming years. But what are your thoughts about this?
I think it's awesome.
that you'll love this next video.
Yo, I think it's just incredible, bro, what they've done. And honestly, it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. No way. I got to watch this next. Let me know if I should react to this next. I want to watch this because I think I've been by this bay, actually, and I wanted to go to it, but they said we're under cleaning. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, my gosh. No way. I don't know, bro. Maybe I'm tripping. Y'all let me know. I love this video. Thank you guys for linking it over. Till next time. Peace.